Hello everyone, and welcome to All the Oscars, the series where I look at the Oscars and every film that was ever nominated or won Best Picture at the Academy, and I one by one do like 10-ish minute podcasty style, vloggy style reviews for them. And this is the final movie of 2016. I have my first year under my belt. That is right. And we have only like 80 or 90 years of fucking films to go through. Hopefully I can ever do it and not die before that happens. But we got my first year down. That's an accomplishment, so let's be happy. And we're talking about Lion. This is the final movie that was in the 2016 lineup, and it was the last one for me to cover. And this one, I think I still have to think about how I'm going to rank all the movies, but I would put this at like Hell or High Water level, not quite Arrival level, but better than Hidden Figures. Not as good as Moonlight, comparing it to the other films there, but this was a really good film. This was about a small boy from India, and he basically just gets lost. In this movie, he lives in, the slums with his brother and his mom. They live like a comfortable-ish life, despite everything, and then one day his brother just kind of disappears and leaves him in the middle of fucking nowhere. And then, like, we go on this hour-long journey of him, like, going through these terrible situations and eventually landing somewhere. And then after we land there, we skip, we have a time skip, and suddenly he's Dev Patel, I think that's how you pronounce his name. And I'm very fascinated with Dev Patel's career, ever since Slumdog Millionaire, and then he became Zuko in The Last Airbender. And I just watched Chappie literally yesterday, so I've seen two of his biggest films back to back. Hi, Cat. And it was a very interesting movie. Seeing this guy literally become like this very innocent character, and then we kind of go through this like useful journey, and then the film is like an entirely different movie in the second half. And in the second half, it becomes like this like self-quest of finding like this character going on this journey, trying to find his home, find out where he came from, and all the while, breaking down in the process. We don't really actually, I think, get enough time for that, and I think they didn't want to exaggerate, like, the true story. Like, it's, like, this guy found his home, but they try to make it into this, like, big quest that he's going on, and it was just kind of like, we really only need the payoff for this to make this work. And it was like the scenes in between were just kind of like we're introducing too many characters too fast, and we're already like an hour into this movie. You can't start introducing like 6 main characters an hour into a film. Just look at Moonlight, for example. That is how you do it right. It was like, okay, there's part 1, 2, and 3, and we see 3 different characters for each stage. We see, for instance, the main character's friend in phase 2, and then he has a phase 3 persona. And then we see a couple characters age 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. And then sometimes there's like characters who are exclusive to each section of the movie. Very much how life works. So it was interesting seeing this movie take a different direction. The filmmaking here was very, dramatic, very, very dramatic. We get a lot of scenes where it's like close-ups, a lot of scenes that like do some artistic things. And the message of this movie like kind of seems to be like this like aid for children who get lost. Like apparently thousands of kids get lost in India like every year, and it kind of becomes like the vocal point for that. And very, very big payoff. If you're wondering my score, by the way, it's a 7 out of 10. I'm gonna delve into spoilers now. So at the end of this movie, I literally, as the end screen was popping up, I was like, why did they name it Lion? And then we find out that the main character was saying his name wrong his entire life. And it's actually, his correct name is it means lion. I thought that was like an excellent way to just get like that period right at the end of the movie, like really hit hard. And I like that the name of the town was very similar. Like I kind of find it hard to believe that like he was saying the name of this town wrong, which that's believable. But it was like so similar. Like what was it? It was like I forget how it was pronounced, but it was like, why didn't you just immediately look, like he said he knew he was saying it wrong, so it's like, how didn't you just look up names that were similar, like similarly named towns in this area? Like, he kind of just stumbled upon the town, and he was like, oh, he's like, what are the odds that it was named so similarly? I'm like, why didn't you look at that first? I would just type like Genau, like Dinesh or something, like things that are just close to the name of the town. But as good as this movie was, I wouldn't say it was great. It was a little bit boring. It was a little bit of a slugfest, especially in that second half. Like, for some reason, the second half I just wasn't digging as much. And that's nothing against like Battelle, because he did a phenomenal job, as did his younger self actor, especially his younger self actor. I don't know if either of them got a nomination, but either of them could have got a nomination. I kind of think the kid version of him deserved it more, because he was acting not only his ass off, but a lot of the scenes he had to like empathize only physically. He didn't talk that much, like in a lot of the scenes, because he's just a lost kid, just kind of like, and there's only like so many ways you can act that, but he did a phenomenal job, especially, he's a child actor. Like, he had no business doing as good as he did. I had no business caring about this kid as much as I did. And I do like the payoff at the end of the movie. Like, the scene of him reuniting with his mom, I almost teared up. It was obviously supposed to be like a tear-jerking scene. I don't know, like, why all the people in the village, like, were suddenly surrounding them. Like, I was like, what? Like, I was kind of just like, okay. I also was wondering, like, what happened to the fucking brother? Why didn't he come back? And it was like, oh, he got hit by a fucking train. I was like, you better have a good excuse for not, delivering and disappearing like this. And I was like, oh yeah, he got hit by a fucking train and died. And I was like, damn, okay, maybe that's a pretty good reason for not coming back. But how horrible for the mother, like, both your children disappear at the same time and they're both probably dead, and one of them was. Yeah, that's awful. But I assume they found his bodies. I think she had closure for him. Like, they knew he was dead at the end. The way they handled that scene was great. Like, we needed, like, this to be a wonderful, like, amazing moment. But then, like, it was like he found out his brother died, and then we took the time to be sad about that before we moved on. A lot of movies kind of just, like, don't give enough time, or they don't give any time at all. This movie had, like, the perfect, like, reaction to knowing that this person was dead, but at the same time, you haven't seen him in so long that it doesn't really matter as much. Great stuff. I really, like, enjoyed the scenes of him, like, being at the school, like, him trying to, like, be in this childhood environment and just kind of be like, what the fuck? It really, like, made me, like, appreciate, like, these people who took two random people from across the country and bring them to their culture and try to, like, I was going to say indoctrinate, but to raise them in this new culture that's probably healthier for them than them being, like, lost in the slums at, like, foster care and schools where they aren't that great, without disrespecting that culture. But yeah, they probably had a better life growing up there than they did back home. And I really, like, appreciate those people. Like, there's enough people in the world. Like, she was like, there's enough people in the world. Like, I'd rather, I can just agree with that sentiment so much. And, like, I'm like 50-50 on whether I would want to adopt a kid one day or if I'd want to just raise one. I don't know, like, if I'm even able to adopt a kid. I know that there are requirements, but I really love that idea, like, to take someone who's living a worse life and to raise them rather than just, delivering another child to the world. Not to say that I wouldn't do that. Like, the world's population is gonna get fucked regardless. But that being said, this movie was very enjoyable. A lot of part of me was kind of just like, oh, it's another movie, like, on to the next one, just digest it and whatever's next. But so many movies are able to just get me out of that funk and just make me appreciate whatever the fuck I'm watching, and so many moments in this movie allowed me to do that. And personally, I really felt something for the characters, pretty much just this main lead, especially since he's played by Patel, who I really enjoy. And like seeing Patel, like, I like that he had this like scraggly look to him, but at the same time, like, they really tried to get his family life, and they didn't have time for that. This was already a long ass movie, and we didn't have time to digest this whole new family dynamic he's going through. Like, it was so weird how we went from like, it's how shitty the world is. It's either you're fucking, you can't like do your day-to-day shit, you can't fucking eat and all that, or it's like you can, and then you just reflect on how unhappy you are because of other people, like, and your feelings or whatever. Like, that's when you get to reflect, and you're like, oh shit, I'm not happy. Which it was how his mother kind of felt, and how he was kind of going through that too. And yeah, I think that's everything I have to say about this one. I will, like I said earlier, I would give it a 7 out of 10 for being just like a very dramatic but interesting movie, and like kind of a journey for this kid who like went through these separate stages and became a very interesting character despite it. And his childhood self versus his adult self, it was a really cool growing experience. And if Moonlight hadn't have already done it so much better, I think I would have liked this movie even more. But that being said, thank you for watching another edition to All the Oscars. The 2016 movies are a wrap. And again, I will cover the awards show eventually. I think I might, like, I don't want to waste time watching the awards show when I could be watching more of the movies that have been nominated. Maybe I'll watch, like, once I'm done with all the movies, I'll just watch each awards show. But who knows? Until then, there's still the 2017, 2015 movies, which are probably my next ones. I know I've already done Darkest Hours, so maybe I'll just go on to whatever's nominated for this year. But anyway, again, thank you for watching, and until next time, with that, I leave you.